Hey everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to share with you a day in the life of a book blogger. So, what I'm about to share with you is just kind of a snippet of one day in my life, and actually, ironically, I did not read it all the day. So, I'm going to tell you kind of what I did and walk you through a little bit of the process, and we're just going to chat about kind of what I do in a day. So I try to begin my day with social media, and for this means that I take the blog posts and I schedule them on social media. So here you see me doing some scheduling for an interview. For an interview, normally I promote the post for about a month, about maybe like 2 to 3 times a week at different times, so that I can make sure that everyone can see the author's hard work and my hard work. I use Hootsuite to do this, and so I've connected my social media accounts to Hootsuite, and this is kind of my favorite scheduling platform. For all my social media, I do Twitter and I do Facebook through Hootsuite. So you're just seeing me kind of playing with a few different captions, making sure everyone is tagged, and so that everyone can see it when it is published on Twitter. And I also am able to kind of play with the timing. So you'll see kind of snippets of my calendar as a whole, and I'm kind of making sure that every post gets, prime time placement, at 8 and noon and 5 p.m., like basically all the kind of hotspot hours of the day. And for interviews, what you're watching me do is try to find different ways to talk about the interview. So maybe fun facts about things that are said in the interview, and to try to figure out different like things people might be interested in reading in the interview. So on this particular day, I did about, let's just say 40 minutes to an hour of scheduling social media. It depends on how many posts I have and how much procrastination I've done earlier in the week or the last week. And then for quite a lot of time, I decided to do some photo editing. On this particular day, I was doing photo editing for about 2 hours, and what you're about to see is that I obviously do not know everything. I am pretty technologically um, not adept. So what you're seeing right now is that I'm looking to see how to adjust the levels on GIMP, and GIMP is the program I use for photo editing. I'm trying to figure out how to make the audiobook screen not as bright white, basically. And so that's what I'm working on now. And so this is an example of me putting an audiobook image onto a photo, but you could do this as also for a cover um, as well. And so this is the same process I'm using as well. So I just wanted to talk you through how I do that. So you can see kind of all the tools I'm using and all the different processes I'm using. I am by no means an expert. This is kind of just the way I've found to make things work the best way that it can. I think it's also important to remember that the photos that are going on Instagram are so much smaller than what you're actually seeing in real life. So, try to make it as perfect as you're happy with. There have certainly been times where I've edited a photo and I've thought, oof, definitely don't want to post this, doesn't look right. And then other times where it's like, you know, this looks 80 to 90% fine. And just it just depends on the mood and the time of day, I guess. And now you're going to see my poor attempts at putting a cover onto a different book. So by now you've seen all of these different photos, but right now I'm trying to put the cover of the X Talk onto this other paperback I have. because at the time the X Talk was not out and I needed to do a photo for this upcoming giveaway that I was running, which obviously is not upcoming anymore, but you know. So this is me trying to do this, and you can see all the different mistakes I'm making. So obviously take what I'm doing with a grain of salt, and just know that it works for me. And I'm giving you a peek behind the curtain. And if you've thought that the photos looked okay, this is how they're made. There are so many other people on the internet who do a much better job of explaining this. I've seen a great tutorial from Vicky. I'll see if I can find it below and link it. But this is just kind of what works for me and the ways that I've tried to figure out how to do this. And yeah, my earlier advice still stands, obviously. Just make what you're happy with. Ultimately, I think that's the only way that you're going to continue making content on Instagram in general, is just to make things that you're happy with and to devote as much time as you want to into expanding your skills and doing other things with your photos and your feed than you want to. Otherwise, if you do things that you feel like you have to do, it's just not going to be something that it's going to be sustainable in the long term. Here I'm actually trying to do something entirely different. This is the first I've ever done of this. You will have seen the post recently. I'll leave all the links below, obviously. But this is me trying to experiment with a different kind of photo that I really wanted to do. I really had this idea of like a hand reaching out of the page to kind of like grab a hold of you. I really wanted it to kind of mean, that feeling when you can't stop reading and you feel like it's kind of gripping a hold of you. That's what I wanted to do in the photo. And so I wanted to kind of take a photo that I had taken with my hand coming out of a page, and I wanted to put it in a little picture frame that I had. So you can see me here editing the like hand photo to get it kind of down to the size that I wanted. about to see is me setting up a photo. On this particular day, I spent about an hour taking photos. I didn't just take one photo, I took a few different photos, but I was trying to set up this birthday photo that I was going to post, I think the next week for a giveaway. So this is me kind of taking the books off my shelf and also in the time, the hour time, it's me setting up, me putting all the books back on my shelf, me taking photos, like that's kind of the whole thing. And so you're just seeing me kind of take the books off of the shelf and kind of figuring out what I want to do with it and how I want to organize it. I would say that a photo session for me can last about an hour, I think is probably the average. I don't have a lot of different patience to do this. I also will think about photo ideas and put them, in a note on my phone or something, so that when I actually have the time and the light is good, for example, I can just go down the list of different ideas I've already had that have already been kind of percolating in my brain, getting ready to make an experience. This just kind of helps cut down on the time and it gives me also kind of a set definition of how many photos I'm going to be taking. So I'm not just kind of standing and looking and feeling kind of creatively confused or creatively challenged. So this is kind of just me doing this one photo, and I didn't film the whole process, but this is just one snippet. So for most photos, even if I've done some computer editing, I'm often doing some editing Snapseed as well. This is just me kind of changing up the exposure and the little details, maybe healing it, doing whatever. On Snapseed, that's the main photo editing program I use on my phone. It's kind of a little bit different because for this one, you don't see me using any of the stuff I will use for my face photos, where I might up the saturation on my eyeshadow in case it looks washed out from the photo, or, you know, using a portrait mode in general and doing kind of a different filter setup than in this one. I would say that for the most majority of the photos, I do very minimal editing, mostly because I hate editing, like editing of any kind, editing of book reviews, of YouTube videos, photos. Like, it's just not my favorite thing to do. Um, and so I would say that the majority of them, the photos with books, for example, require very little editing. But then the face ones, they require just changes in brightness, for example, and saturation. And as you can see from this one needed some different things with the exposure in certain angles because I wanted the light to look a little bit more balanced. This was before I had gotten, as a birthday gift, this ring light. So that will help kind of everything going forward in the future for better lighting. But at this time, I didn't really have it. And so you can see me kind of really messing with the lighting and trying to figure out a way that makes it look the most even, I guess. So, what does a book blogger do during the day? They write book reviews. I'm going on to Goodreads to write my book reviews, and now I'm going on to Trello, which is how I manage all of my arcs and e-arcs. And I'm kind of moving things from progress to scheduled and moving around things from, the calendar of my reviewing e-arc things to basically if they were reviewed. This is how I keep track of all my e-arcs. I've done a few blog posts about how I keep track of them. If you want kind of like an updated look at this, more than you have in the video, then let me know. And right now I'm drafting the blog tour book review in this case in WordPress. This is me writing a book review for What Big Teeth. Basically, what I do is I'm kind of updating Goodreads and my reading spreadsheet and Storygraph in this time, all at the same time. Oh, and NetGalley, because this is also a NetGalley. Here you can see a snippet of my Excel sheet where I am currently using it to kind of track what I'm reading every month, basic stats, also stats about the book. So all of those kinds of information in this Excel sheet. It worked really well for 2020, and here's 2021. And I've taken basically the notes from my phone essentially, where I take notes while I read, and I'm going to kind of put that into my directly into WordPress. I don't do one of those processes where I will, write the review, for example, in Word and then put it into WordPress. For me, I draft directly in WordPress. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go. So going super fast, you can see kind of the evolution of the book review and how I write it. So I don't know if actually anyone is, interested in this, but here you go. So when I'm done writing the book review, I basically take the first two paragraphs and I slap them into Goodreads, and I take the first two paragraphs and I put them also in Storygraph and often in NetGalley. So that's kind of where, if you are wondering, those first two paragraphs go. Oftentimes it's because then I'm giving an intro and kind of like a little hook about why I really like the book. And then I'm also delving a little bit into what I liked about the book. So oftentimes it's a pretty good snapshot of how I feel about the book in general. On that particular day, I probably spent about an hour writing book reviews. I'm not actually even sure how many I wrote. I know I wrote at least two. The process goes pretty quickly for me just because I have basically all my thoughts already down. So now you're watching me do some booktube editing, which is what I'm doing right now. So this is a snapshot into my process and the different effects I'm using in general. Now I'm also super exposing myself because you're going to see all the times that I've misspoken or that I make a mistake and all the times I need to edit. So, enjoy this little snapshot as well. Hi everyone. Hi everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Find, and today I'm going to be telling you about all of my contemporary 5-star reads from 2020. It's only actually part one because I had 37 books that I read that were 5-star reads in 2020, so I thought it would be better kind of to split it up roughly in half. I have a sheet of paper where I'm reading all of the titles and also like basically bullet points about why I loved all of them. So without further ado, I will just get right started. One of the first about why I loved all of them. So without further ado, all of them. So without basically bullet points about why I loved all of them. So without further ado, I will just get started. One of the first all of them. So without further ado, I will just get started. One of the first 5-star reads I had. So without further ado, I will just get started. One of the first just get started. One of the first 5-star reads I had in the contemporary genre was Yes, No, Maybe Yes, No, Maybe So. I've been loving all of these more politically themed YA books, and Yes, No, Maybe So was the first one that I had read that was like that. And what I loved about it was not only did it tackle Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, but it also tackled the idea about getting involved on a local level. I think that getting involved in local elections and like local politics is really important, and so I loved that Yes, No, Maybe So tackled that and like canvassing and how an individual can make a difference and what kind of role we can have in the community around us. And also, I mean, the friendships and the characters were just so great, and it's such a fantastic author duo as well. And I've loved reading both of these different authors' works, so it was great to kind of see them combine and, cooperate in a way that made. So it was really great to see their combined project in Yes, No, Maybe So. The next book mine and, co author duo as well. So it was really great to see their combined project in Yes, No, Maybe So. The next book is When You're Everything. This is actually So it was really great to see their combined project in Yes, No, Maybe So. The next book is When You're Everything. This is And then my final task that I did on this day was posting my Instagram photo. This means that about 10 minutes before the window when I want to post, which is noon Eastern Standard Time, I will go on, do a little interaction like reply to messages, reply to comments, then post, and then do 10 minutes also afterwards as well. I am by no means an Instagram oracle. This is just kind of what works for me. I try to limit my social media exposure and like my screen time in general. So this is just what works for me to make sure that Instagram knows that I'm not just like dropping a photo and then leaving essentially. And that brings me to the end of the day. I realize that my day in the life of a book blogger meant A, that I didn't do any reading, and B, that actually the majority of the work I did was stuff for Bookstagram and Booktube. That's just how my life is at the moment. Maybe I will do another one of these videos in the future if you like it. So please definitely let me know if you like it and would want to see more, and what kind of topics you'd like to see more in general of in the future. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.